Running through sequence locations at 10 settings. I'm just looking at the clock line, setting line interference is seconds over pi. The direct location is position locations come into high setting locations of all line setting location 20. 20 sets line communication of interference. The recognition line setting is to understand the 59 seconds highest line and position locations into 1 minute of 60 seconds per channel. Now that's an operation line position location that opens all levels of correlation. It's line communicating in seconds, minutes, hours of the day. The space line in its division location is now in position to extraction. So today in class, we're going to go through 29 line setting. Now that 29 setting line interference is security, perimeter, line rotation, to understand how to use it through the vector force setting. Now a vector force setting is really recognizing the frequency locations of its channel operation. The channel operation and line communication system is all levels of ground setting. It's a rotation spin cycle that sets log communications to its lights of track location setting, interference, position, location, attraction. See? You can't even see my arm. Look, you can't see my arm, right? It's gone. That's how fast you can travel. So, and recognizing communication is really powerful stuff, but you can override the light communication cycles. See how it goes line position? It travels right through location. All right. And there it is, disappears. Isn't that amazing when you see your light go through line setting, translucent, X-ray, high setting line position, track location, high setting. Now this is traveling through line position locations into 250 million line seconds, high line position of 60 seconds per minute. Your position location of track lines is the recognition location of time setting. It opens all levels of square settings. Now a square set is a rotation line position. Now, once you get into direct signals and high setting, it's all levels of view. Now, the correlation set lines and high position location measures one count. Now, that one count line center rotates its position location on one setting. So, setting position location at track lines is changing position locations how we see yourself. To see yourself is to know yourself in all line setting rotations. Setting communications at program locations puts everything in perspective to line setting. Rotate spin cycles and high center rotation streamlines in set locations. 2 position locations equal line conditions of 9 set location. Now the 9 line center sets line position of 9 line setting. Okay. 2 line sets line position of 2 line setting. Okay. So that's 1 box location and center location. Now the center location comes into line position. Okay. So 9 sets here, 9 equals location of 12 in set locations. Now the 12 line center line position locations into 5. 5 equals line position of 7. Setting position of center operation line setting. Now, once you get into that position locations, you change the set location of 7 equal line conditions of box position locations into a diamond shift line in rotation to its correlation set line. Now, the rotation spin line sets line position location to high setting. Setting position of magnetic highway information to its ground line setting or rotation. Setting position location into 2 tube line center rotations in track location of 6 and line conditions into underlying setting. Negative over positive set lines in 6 and position locations into 5. Equal line conditions to 4. 4 sets line setting of 4, 5, 6. 4 line settings, 5 positions, and set lines of 6 and line connections. Box is line position locations 4, 5, 6. 4 goes into 5. 5 goes into 9, and 6 goes into 12. So that's 12 line setting. 6 line equal line consists of 6 equal locations in line position of 12. Setting correlation system, 9 setting, done by equation. All right, one more looking at position line direction. How formulas are set up location equations. Recognizing communication is extremely powerful stuff when you start seeing these things, okay? Really pay attention to what's happening with your formation, location, number, sequence, line settings, because you guys are going to higher levels of digital formats. And once you understand the digital formats, you really understand the recognition line conditions when it comes to lights of travel locations and disappearing out of sight of position. Okay? So it's very powerful when you come into that line setting. And I keep saying that, very, very powerful, because we're all in that position, location to get where we need to be, is to be all levels of our future adaptation system, right? So you are coming back to you, as Val would say. That's all this is. Not complicated, nada. The complication is trying to understand how to get there. And to get there, You have to go through your shadow works. You have to go through your lights. You have to go through your darks. But the dark is a representation to your personality. That's 2 line settings. That's 2 personality traits, but you got 114 line positions, all levels of chakras trying to get into its alignment location. Now the team is set position locations when it comes into its computer chips, microchips, nanochips, higher level calculations to all levels. You're in a quadrant line, sending line, and rotation interference location just into all position locations into its setting to its avatar. In sector location of 2 line setting, I9 operation. There's 12 I9 operations of avatars that you guys need to get into. Setting position line direct location keeps you into the ground line setting to your higher self position. So as you come into your 29 settings, position locations, all levels, it sets in 2 line rotation. Okay. Now the 2 line sets line position locations in 2 equal location of factor. Now the factor line sets line position locations into measure, into memory. It crosses line position locations into box. Box line center location of triangulation. Now the triangulation sets 1, sets 2, and sets 3 in set location. All right. Getting a position line direct location is 1 line setting. Okay, so that's 1 triangle line setting to all position location of its pyramid set. Pyramid sets comes position location to all levels of a new ground center rotation interference, sets position location into 1, sets position location into 2, back in line communication of 1, and set location high setting. All right, so it comes into line communications, into this line, into all line rotation. Setting position line direct location is setting a UFO line rotation. Platitude visual location scan line setting into the center line communication. Sending line interference, walking signals in high center location, crossing position locations at all levels to its set locations. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4 is set lines. Setting communication comes into an energy graph line, a rotation spin, in set locations in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You're working with 12 line setting and rotation setting interference. Setting position location to all position locations to its dome setting and rotation setting in high line and position location rotation, done by equation. Setting signals, location settings. Okay. So once you get into the power recognition of line setting, you get into power of all positions of pi. Now pi position locations equals pi. Correlations of pi, dimensions of pi, circulations of pi, rotations of pi, pi calculations. Now we come into pi, equal conditions of 1 equal locations into 2 equals locations of pi. Setting position line directions. So it's in 3 set line conditions into 26, okay, over pi, okay, in set locations in back force line centers into underscore of pi in 3 line positions. You can go into dash line setting or in position of negative line rotation interference into 2 equal locations of 1 line setting, setting position location of traction, setting line interference. So what you're doing is you're taking your numbers and position locations of pi. Because the thing is, once you understand your digital frame, you guys are in your securities, perimeter, line, rotation, energies, and your rainbow wash locations of 9. 9 is your solar star chakra. So it cleanses the 12 DNA track lines and electrical line connection, electrical line, rotated position location, allocate position of timeline sequence. Your DNA track changes its dimension, okay, of a new line stream. Now that stream holds position location to its energy graph line. That graph line sets position of all levels of correlation. So getting into that position line center in this formula, the set line position locations comes into 36, okay, line position locations equals pi. Pi sets lines into factor, and set locations into the line communications into time. Time equals locations into pi. Pi position locations into Fibonacci swirl line setting, done by equation. Setting signals in high setting location is how you set your system. Your direct line setting is really understanding the 12 line setting locations. Now you got the 0 line rotations into 12, 12 into position locations into 48, setting line positions into 72, setting line position locations into 144. Okay, so in line communications, the set location as 0 automatically becomes the 24 line setting in ground location on the left and the right hemisphere location settings. Okay, so that's the position line direct locations where you center line the circles and set rotation to its ground setting. Setting correlation system is 24 line setting into 12 lines. So 12 comes position of 48, 48 comes position of 72, 72 becomes 1 in position of 144. The track line center comes in rotation spin in set location to the power line setting. This opens up a 144 generation string lines and magnetic line setting rotation spin cycle in set location. Okay, setting line settings comes into the line communications into 6 line positions over line center at 6 locations. So inline communications comes into a teleportation streamline in set location, a new ground line rotation circle in set locations. Okay. Now you can actually see it moving. It's pretty wild. You see it moving? Remember, don't look at this. Look at me. The recognition line setting is really operating the set locations. So you got 3 circle locations, right? You got 4 line generation streamlines in set location to center. Setting position location is track lines and center line rotations. Comes in position locations to line center rotations to your DNA. Process of 2 panels on rotation set lines in high position. Opens all line communications into your tree formation line setting. Your tree formation comes into its life cycle line position locations. Opens all levels of channel. The operational line setting is a disk line rotation spin that sets line communications into your 12 line setting, 2 line center rotations over 4 over pi, 24 line centers of left, 24 line rotations of right. Okay, your left and right hemisphere is line communications and business locations into 48 windows in the 72 track and line communication computer operation to 144, which is communication to its ground line setting into its graph line rotations into 9 position locations over 2 over pi correlation line setting. Okay, you see it moving? See the lines moving? See the electrical line? See the electrical line roads, high center line business locations? It's moving on its own, guys. So when you understand the lacing lines, the data line rotation interference, you have a box line channel. Now that box line channel opens position locations and crosses signals. So you got 3 line rotation set lines at box locations. If you look really, really close, you see the boxes move. Okay, you'll see the boxes move in its right location setting. Okay, setting position line direct location is all about understanding how to move things through its equation set. Rotation spin cycle opens up another dimensional of the theta line rotation in a gamma signal in one track line position in one direction. Okay, this opens up all levels of travel line settings and all calculations to new securities of perimeter line positions up 2 over pi in 9 setting locations. See it moving? So it's adding frames, it's adding data, it's adding streams, it's adding grids, it's adding shapes. Okay, it has a colossal interference. Okay, it's a solar disk line setting in rotation position locations into 29 track location energy watt set locations. Down by equation. All right. Once we get into that position locations, 29 sets line position locations into box, line position locations into 2. So I'm always working with 0 to 12. Always. So line position of a graph line and 2 graph line center is 0, position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 in set locations. All right, so you're working with that with one data streamline setting. Okay. Now in that position location, 0 changes line setting as 0 line rotation. Okay, the 0 line rotation is your bracket location of 29 equals box in set locations. So that's 2 equal line connections over measure. Okay, over measure. That measures its countability line setting of its memory rotation line positions into 29 sectors and equal line connections to its factor line connection high setting into the laser direct locations in set lines and high position locations into 24 ground line settings into the line interference in set locations into its signal of its 0 operation set location. Done by equation. Okay. So your 29s are set up and they're operated and activated, line setting. Your computer chips are set in lines in the avatar line rotation, setting correlation line interference in higher cell line position location or tracker settings, setting correlation set lines in high position locations. So how to set this up is understanding the grounds. 24 left and 24 right location position. Okay? But you always use the 0 to 12 in a graph line stream. 0 line positions of 1 sets locations in the center. 1 in position, 2 in position, 3 in position, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And there you go. All set up. Okay. And again, it's traveling. Right? Now this is a wall line setting and a line interference on a left line position. Now we got to set up the right line connections. All right. So again, we set up line connections in one panel in rotations, and we do the same thing. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, and we do the same thing. So in that correlation, we start with 0, we go with 1, we go with 2, we go with 3, we go with 4, we go with 5, we go with 6, we go with 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And there we go. That's all set up. Now the line communication line center sets line position location in 3 sets. Set a correlation system in a 0 line rotation in set locations, covers on all signals, right? Now the ground line center changes position location to directions. Now you got a line position location of center. That center operates its position location of directions, guys. That direct line center comes into 3 panels of solar line communication of this in set location. Look how powerful that is. Look how powerful that is, all right? This is what you come into when you come into 29 line settings in just your chakras and your computer chips. Higher self to the avatar of information panel. So understanding the position of directions, and you can actually see it traveling very fast in line signature locations of data settings, right? See, it's moving, right? It's moving very fast. All right, so in position location, come in a 4-line channel. Now this is a circle location line setting in the opposite line setting. So this is negative over positive locations, all right? Setting direct locations. So the negative line setting, line of position locations, positive comes into negative line rotation. So that's -1 in set line conditions into positive line position into positive 2 line rotation. Equal line conditions in 1 line setting to DNA track location of 12 line setting. DNA line track line interferences. Travel communication system rotation to 3 track location settings done by equation. Okay, it's all set up. 29 settings and high line interferences, high set locations, all set position. All right, all through your DNA. Hoo-ah. All right, so when you see these things and you start understanding what you're seeing is position, location of directions through light signature patterns, operation signals, high interference line rotation system. I'm talking slower, okay, so you get a better understanding, okay? But you never know what general. General speaks general, and somebody level committee line interference location doesn't have an attraction. So, you know, it doesn't matter what I say, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. And I keep saying that. It doesn't matter because it's energy. And it goes where it needs to go because it's my intention and where it sends out. So all line position locations to its spherical stereo locations, which is extremely powerful to set location settings all through your DNA of 0 to 12 line setting. All right. So you got 12 line settings on left and 12 line settings on right is position locations of 24 line signals and 24 activation line connections into your left and your right hemisphere line settings and 2 track locations into 9 line settings, which is your energy graph of position location to its wash setting location of its system location position. Okay. So starting off in track line setting. Okay, let's see how everybody's doing. Okay, let's see. Communication line settings, high position locations, all levels, coming out of pre-flight line rotations. Hey, communication line settings, Terran line center locations, Sam line position locations, Mumble line Bow correlation system, high levels, high center locations into Heather, line condition, all position locations into Laura. Let's go in-line communication in Geneva. High center location of Sarah line and rotations. Guarding line position. Johnny line communications. Scales line interference. All position location Leah. JP. High position locations. Susan. Let's go in. Communication of Tina. Hello, is a Gypsy. Correlation system. High dimension of Chris. High track line centers of Tara. Same position of Sam. All position location Nathaniel. Line interference. Recognizing line connections, guys, is all levels is location of your track lines. So I wanted to show you how powerful it is once you start recognizing your hologram structure streams of your settings to your, not just your higher self, but your complete system, which is all levels of your avatar, which is all levels of engineering, line connection, architect, location settings. So let's see. Michaela, line centers, Val. Yeah, I know exactly. Everything has happened to you all at once. Imagine that. Switching set lines and high center line position location and track lines. All position location and high center interference. So this is what you guys have to work out of. Okay. The set of communication line setting is recognizing communication. The only way you can recognize communication is to understand a battery, right? So a battery communication OTV is all levels of moderation. Now you have to learn how to use it through its monitor, which is position location to its remote. Now the remote line center location is positive in position locations into negative line setting. Okay, so this is a battery location of positive. This is a position locations into negative line setting. You need to recognize locations, right? Setting communication to a set line connection. Positive, negative. Mode control, right? So you understand the position is understand the line connection. Understand the position is understand the line connection. Okay. Understand the connection is understand the line connection. If you look really close, you can see the intelligence, right? So there's two track and line rotation interference. Two intelligence communicating with each other to high center line position and track line conditions and to a box line center rotation interference. Done by equation. All right. That's how it's set up. That's how a battery is set up, and that's how it connects to its intel locations to Energizer or Duracell or line rotation interference. Okay? So, and it's automatically connected line position of 0, line position of 1, and position location of 2, and 3's here, 4's over here, 5's over here, 6 in the center, 7 over here, 8 position location, 9 line center line position location, 10 line position location, 11 over here, and 12 line position location calculation. 0 to 12, all through battery, multi-pass. Okay? So now you understand why it's so important to understand your energy signature patterns. The process of this position location is to understand how to use your formulas of equation, right? That's how you get your abundance. Okay? You only get your abundance if you are in the position of where you're supposed to be. All timelines all at once. But to get there is to understand the seconds line setting of 0 equal locations of 9 setting and position locations into 9 line position location of 0 setting and 0 line rotation operation setting, operation location high setting into triangulation position locations, ground line center and high position locations, Merkaba position down, up cross line center and high center locations, high channel line stream into line rotations into flex capacitor into 0 gravity rotation. See the teleportation unit? All right. Information is in the center of you. So if you understand that, you stand the position of the inner core and the outer core. But see, then you got realms, which is Fibonacci. So you follow this and you follow the path. And when you're following the path, you're understanding more and more. Okay? So this is where you start from the inner line of its outer line core in position locations. And when you go higher, you start from the outer inner core. And the reason why you start from the inner first is because you're birthed from inside out. And then inline communications, when you go to the other dimension line system, it's a totally different setup. You go from outer in. Okay. So it's a lot more different because it's in a different universal line of a galaxy setting. If you get a colossal channel and a position location into a black hole set, it's a rotation spin cycle that sets line position of its direction. Now, the direct location sets lines into position location to a 45 on a negative channel, sets a line spin cycle in the opposite direction locations. Channel communication is a zero line rotation. This is the highest formation location of its vortex chamber locations of travel location settings. Done by equation. Look really close, you can actually see a travel communication setting. See the spherical sphere location setting? You see it moving? The biggest understanding is don't focus on this, focus on me. You got to go beyond. And again, I always keep saying this, coming into martial arts is a process of discipline. Discipline becomes line communications to its mantra, Buddha, Dalai Lama, this and that and this. But the true understanding is to see behind you, not in front of you, not inside of you, not up, not down, behind you. So to understand the behind is understanding the ability that you can understand is going beyond the system. So when you're looking at something, you don't look at this, you look at me. Okay? Because I'm behind. So when you're going behind, you're seeing all levels of angles. You're seeing front, back, side, up, down, cross, line, interference, line position, cross line, any locations. So it's true to understand that when you're seeing things from behind, you're seeing this in position to what it is in all calculations. All right? Going through dimensional doors. Same with your phone. You go beyond the phone to its location. Right? Your phone is here. It's that location. Right? So it's true to understand how it's set up to its dimensional setting. Right? So you come in position location to its graph line to the other side setting. Right? Now this opens up a dimensional door of its locations, right? So it opens up more and more and more and more. So it expands and expands and expands. This is the outer rim. This is the outer ring of your location setting. Okay? Now to travel through it, you have to set up position locations in set location. Okay? But it just doesn't start there. You can go any position that you want. You can go in this way line setting and go straight up locations. Right? Now, recognizing communication, again, it's traveling, right? So you have to understand the 0-12 lines, how it's set at locations. And once you understand that, you understand more levels because now you're in 29. 29 is a position of all levels of security, perimeter, and parameters that you are protecting setting. So you're protecting the box that's inside of its center location. You're protecting this. This is the security. Perimeter line position of air lines and 4-line position location of track lines in set locations, right? 2-line windows in set location of sign line settings. In position of north, in position of south, right? It's protecting everything that's inside of you location, right? So in that line communication, you set up a force field to an energy field. You set up E field to position location to alter line connection position. So the high lines have a compound line rotation, high position location of track lines, so higher communication and security, so nobody can get in position location of travels, right? That's a fortress now. Nobody can get into that, right? Even if they tried, they can't get in, right? Because you locked it in. So we all have to recognize our system, how it sets position, location of directions. All right, you got a Fibonacci swirl line in a set location, right? And that's 3 in operation through channel. Set location of the 3-line setting. Now this is the inner line, and this is the outer core. Okay, setting position location of travel locations, right? Recognizing line setting, another Fibonacci going in the opposite direct locations to its setting. Okay, so it's very confusing, right? So one's going in and the other one's coming out. See, you have to recognize these because you're in a 2-digit frame now. You're in a solar generation line setting. I can set position locations in 9 equal line conditions underscore line of pi, setting position locations into pass line in reference equals reference back into the center correlation system equals 9 connections equals line center 12. So that sets up a 12-line setting into energetic graph line in rotations to an energy wash location setting. Okay. Setting graph lines in position locations, all levels at set location. Okay. It's very complicated when you create holograms. Okay, it's very confusing to the mind setting. But the avatar knows what it's doing. It knows what it's doing of its future setting. It's setting its schematics of its set locations. So setting these things up, you can crisscross line position location to this line conditions. Or you can crisscross the other way line position location across line settings. Okay. So Belinda, you'll find this fantastic because what you're doing is you're creating a schematics of view of travel, and the travel communication comes into all formation locations. This is what you can create through 29 settings into an energy wash or in position locations to its water containment setting that sets all position locations to travel line setting to higher correlation system of travel rotation. Okay, to another dimensional line connections. Hoo-ah. See that? Look how powerful that is. Isn't that amazing? How things are set up through formulas of equation. So, try to get beyond the mind. I always get in a position of direct location setting to really understand the provision locations to your set locations. All right. So you start off with the hand. Okay. Now the hand is in front. Okay. But when I see the hand, I don't just see this, I see everything around it because it's in front of me. Right. So I don't see this end. Right. Until you see this end. So to see this is to understand this. To understand this is to understand the sides. Okay, so you start off with the digital layers of your setting. 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension. Okay, 1, 2, flat surface, 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension. So if you understand that process, you understand your space of consciousness because you are digital layers of your own geometric operation of design. So all you're doing is creating higher levels of teleportation, okay, through your schematics, as you see here. Hoo-ah. Okay, it gets more complicated, but a lot more fun. Okay. So, understanding the controlling mechanism line setting, a control mechanism is a line signal. A line signal is a mechanism of travel signal. A travel signal is a connection to your Wi-Fi position. Your Wi-Fi position location is connected to your satellite connections. Your satellite connection is connected to all levels of your moon setting. So the correlation system sets ground lines as 0 in position of center in position location of magnetic line setting. Okay, so you got 2 track locations. All right, flux capacitor line position location high setting. Measuring correlation system. Now, coming into factor over line connections, truly recognize pi interference location of 36 line settings in position locations all levels. Factor line communication underscore over pi position locations underscore line setting. Allocate position of timeline sequence timeline interference into 46,000 line communications underscore over pi. Okay, recognizing the correlation to its position of its circulation of its rotation. Okay, circulation of its rotation. Okay, because it's all inside of you. So if you recognize yourself from inside, you understand the outer rim of the outside location, which is what? Your environment, your spin cycles, your center calculation line setting, your atmosphere location rotation setting. Okay? So it's all inside of you, of creation. This is creation right here. What is this? It's creation, right? It's created from somewhere, right? Created from space inside line connection. So if you look at the traction line position locations, 1 position location 1, 2, and 3 line position location 3, in position of 4, in position locations in a 5, highest line in 6, and line location of 7 locations. So now This is interacting with this. Okay? Because I'm creating it. And when I'm creating it, what is it doing? It's communicating to this line setting in its rotation location, right in the same direction. See? Communication is everything. It's in a direct signal in my shirt. I feel the energy because I created it. So it's intelligence, communicate with intelligence. This is already in operation. This is already in correlation. This is already in balance. But when you do something, you've got to get balance with your drawings. If you don't get balance with your drawings, you're not going to be in position of this. Okay? This is a 30,000 line setting of an XT1000 unit. Okay? So this has to recognize this. This has to recognize this. So this has to scan this. This has to scan that. Because if this isn't balanced, this will be override. You understand? That's how this works. So in relation line connection, you have to really understand what you're doing. Especially because what you're doing is you're creating hologram structures of you every day through the mind. What do you think your imagination is? What do you think it's made of? Images. So to create the image is to go beyond the mind. And when you go beyond the mind, you're coming in position location. You start off, well, you have an unconscious setting to the conscious, to the subconscious, to the subterranean, to the superobvious consciousness. Now that sets line communications into 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 or 8. You have 8 senses, set lines in all correlation system, and a 12 DNA track line that understands the GOD of its own set location. That is position locations into of pi underscore over pi. But it's all recognition line conditions of intelligence. Understanding what this means is understanding the space and time inside you. That's it. So that's why you're confused. You're creating a hologram, trying to understand the design of this, not realizing this is already in its operation. But what you're doing through travel is trying to understand the provision of what you're doing, is trying to understand the creation. So when you understand the image, because the image comes more and more each day with your theta settings, it opens up more lines of you in position locations into your theta setting location settings, right? So you come in more in position of bandwidth in set locations into your set lines into northwest, south, and east. So in correlation setting and high line rotation and interference, you are creating a positions to a tesseract, which is its computer frame, to its Merkaba of its center line communication system of an open position location to all levels of high setting in a higher communication vessel and a correlation line connections to its position location of its direction. Okay? That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. So you're doing hologram structured lines. Now, when you get in a structure line and line rotation interference, you can take the one line signal and let's go into 4 panels. 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so that's 4 ones. Okay, equal line connections 7. 7 line position locations into 3. So 3 line settings and position locations 0, 0, 0. Communication, that's area and position of code. Okay, remember you have a 7-digit line setting. So you got 4 track location of ones. You can set down in line rotation and direct location like this. Create a line position anomaly and set locations to a walking stair setting. Setting position locations all levels, set a 0 graph, 0 graph, 0 graph rotation. Okay, set a correlation line setting in position location of its high setting. You have to learn how to create holograms, guys. That's all this is. So it's all connected to your number sequence locations. So you got a 0 line rotations into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 line signals and line center line connections. So the 0 line rotations this way, 1 this way, 1 this way, 2 this way, 2 this way, 3 this way, 3 this way, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Now, you set up the walls and set location. You set up the walls and set location. All right? So it's really understand how to use the sequence pattern communication line setting, because you guys are now in 29 settings. But understanding the hologram structural line connections is all levels of precision locations of its dimension line setting that locks the signals into its security position line settings into all calculation to its position. So that's why I want you guys to understand, because the thing is, you have your test that's already set. You've already done the test. But the thing is, you have to learn how to construct it in the mind. That's why I want you on paper first. Okay. Now you have a choice, paper or the mind now, setting locations. All right. So that's a choice right there, but it's not a choice. It's not even given a choice because you've already done it. You've already done the test, but are you aware of it? Are you ready to understand how to get it into the location? It's not about drawing. It's already know what you drew. So getting into that position location is going to high rise you in all lines of communications. Setting correlation settings in dimensional line locks signal locations. Setting communication in other ground lines and Fibonacci sequence location. And remember, this is all channeled through 0 to 12. Setting position locations and perimeters in set location settings in set location. Setting line position into a black hole in line communication and ground line rotation setting. Set a communication line setting into an orb channel location. Set a position location to the sun, a position location to the moon. Projector locations to set location settings. Setting line interference, 1 diameter line rotation, 1 set line connections into 2 inline connections into 1 center line position of 0 gravity location. All right. Setting communications line setting in position line direct location to ground setting. Rotation spin cycles in highest location of its diamond core setting locations. You see the hologram? You see how powerful it is, what you guys come into? The avatar knows exactly what it's doing through its own design of its own image. So all it's doing is creating abundance all at once. Hooah! Multipass. Okay? So all this is created through numbers, letters, shapes, and symbols, guys. For example, 0 line rotation, 1 box line setting, box position location and 1 line rotations, in position location and 0 line rotation interference, 1 position location here, 2 position here, 3 line center rotations, all levels circle location of black hole line rotations, 4 channel line center and position location solar stream, 5 position location timelines, 6 and throw pattern communication line center rotation interference location 7, 7 position location theta line rotation, 8 position location infinity, 9 position location all levels, in position location star line inner rotation position location energy watch, 10 line rotation energy light and rotation positional communication 11 light in solar system communication 12 for all light communication system, high line rotations in 3 communication cycles in set location communication line rotation interference. So showing you how you do your own design setting. And if you look really close, you see it traveling very fast through those wire set locations. Right? See it moving on its own? So, showing how powerful you guys are is recognizing your design. And the design of its image is getting into its own position of its own direction. Okay? Setting signals for your set location is really understand how to focus on these things. Clarity, commanding, and controlling your operation of you. Okay? Brings you to your own design, brings you back to you. One more time, brings you back to you. That's it. Multi-pass. Okay? So it's very powerful when you come into these line connections. All right? All levels of authenticity. Yeah, it's all position, location, and directions. Anything you set up is all levels of letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. It's knowing how to change the seconds, minutes, hours of everything that you do. If you go to hollow line setting in position of 4, set locations into line positions, That's 4 channels, line position locations into 4 8-line connections of 12 sets. 4 equals location of 12, 12 line center of 0, line position of 1, 1 position of 2, triangulation of 3, set location. Done by equation. Right? Everything is in balance. So try to get into your settings. When you get into your settings, you really understand the formulas of its abundance. And abundance is position location of its formation that's connected to its image, that's connected to all levels into one tether. Now, one tether line is electrical line communication, right? So that's 1 in a line equals O locations over pi in position locations. Okay? That's abundance, guys. But what is it? What did I just create? Let's start there, shall we? What did I just create? Right? It's my intention. And that's how I get it. It's not what you see. It's what's here. Okay? You don't see this. You see this. So this came from this, which is space inside me. Okay? So I got a one-line signal, a line position, equal line conditions over pi. Set in line communication system in all levels of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 location. Now I can add frame line setting and triangulation into all position location of graph lines in position location all setting. Okay. I can get a sigma set lines into a uniform line rotation. Correlation system, setting, 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 setting. Okay. So you have to really understand it's not just the imagination, it's the phenomena of its AI. Its awareness equals information. So understanding the awareness is understanding the information equals its intelligence location. Triangulation right there. Hoo-ah! Awareness of information intelligence. Okay? So this is how you guys have to balance your line setting. If I'm looking at 1 is balancing everything through its yin and yang. I already know. So I know what I'm doing. So I don't have to worry about position location of 6 and 9 if it's offline setting. It's all in correlation system of balance. But 1 is not 1. 1 equals GOD. Grounds, operation, division, directions, dimensions. Geometric operation of your own design. 1 is everything. 1 turns into box. Box turns into line. Line turns into 2. 2 turns into 4. Back into 1 in position. Look at that, 4 to 4. So I turn the 4 lines into 1 and 1 into 4. 4 equals location of GOD now. Set location of yin and yang. Everything I do is process. And if you really look really close, really close, you can see a shark. You see the shark? You see the eyes? Look really close, guys. Look at the shark. Okay, now look at the whale. There's a shark and a whale. Through 4 line settings in aligning and line rotations of GOD and metric locations of yin and yang. There's the shark and there's the whale of yin and yang. Hoo-ah. And it's smiling. And now it's the moon. You see the moon? This is the moon. Setting, position, location. There's the moon. So there's 3 of them. The moon, the shark, and the whale. Go beyond. Okay? So showing you and understanding what you're seeing is trying to understand everything to its image. And that's why it's so powerful. How you change a 4 into yin and yang, to a whale, to a shark, to the moon, all through a box, all through 6, all through GOD, through its equal line setting, which is its position location to its markup set location. The channel line setting line interference sets position location all levels in travel location setting in direction. Okay? Very powerful when we come into that setting, right? So, I showed you 3 different line connections. How everything is information. So it's really connecting these things and you don't have to even think about it. It's already done. It's already up here. It's already structured. So if it's already structured, that's the future operation setting line connection to its all lining setting that's already set up. Multi-pass. So that's how it comes into all calculation set line interference. How you see things 3 into 1. Okay? You got to get information inside line connection, understand how to merge, how to get involved, how to understand its relationship of travel, of letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. And that's what you can create through its image. 3 images created through that without even thinking. Okay? So, this is where you have to really understand the process of you, is reaching higher levels of you in the mind. But when you reach those higher levels, you're coming into hologram structure of you now. Okay? Tomorrow in line communications, we're going into 30. Okay? Which is the Fibonacci. All right? 5-10 minutes. I'll see you on Zoom. Adios. Close windows, close line interference. Pre-flight, line center line in rotation, bring it back in calculation setting. Now you're back. Adios.